My little cookie bite. Nom 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 nom.
Alright, so we're in a bit of a tiny adventure because of a horrible atrocity that's happened in our town.
I don't know what you're talking about. This isn't an atrocity. It's a local treasure. There's a local bakery here in Michigan that we absolutely loved, like went to all the time, and they made these really fancy, really cool milkshakes, and they weren't too far away from us, so we adored them. But then the internet found out about them.
If you've been in Michigan, great bakeries is a thing that is not synonymous with Michigan. Most bakeries in Michigan are awful. There's a bakery in LA that started making these, like, they think they call them crazy shakes, which are, you know, like, they like are big milkshakes with like whole slices of cake on them and like confetti and like all kinds of crazy stuff. And so this bakery here picked up on this trend and started making these really cool milkshakes. And people love them because they're very like Instagram worthy.
That's not what they said happened. They said they became like their milkshakes became popular because they made a fancy looking milkshake that was like a strawberry shortcake milkshake for a local breast cancer awareness fundraiser thing.
Right, but that whole trend of milkshakes is inspired by this one bakery in California. We love this place and they make like fairly decent cake and stuff like that. But the problem is that now people from all over the state come to this bakery.
And they drive hours to come here.
Yeah. And so then, you know, what used to be the like run in and grab some like, you know, cinnamon apple cake or something like that bakery, and now has become the, you know, you try to go to the bakery just to like pick up a couple pastries and you drive by and you go, yep, that line is over 5 hours, I'm gonna go somewhere else.
So we're gonna go now.
Hopefully the line's short today because it's cloudy and rainy.
Yeah, so who wants a milkshake right now? Well, we do.
We do.
Let's go.
Let's go. Alright, so we have our M&M milkshake. It looks immense and exciting. You know, they make usually pretty good cake, but I find the cupcakes on these things aren't usually that good. Jane's like, oh, that just means I have to eat it. I'm like, yep. This giant cookie looks delicious. I don't think we ate any of it. I think it just came like that, but let's try it. It's pretty good. Quite soft, but I'm kind of a crispy cookie person. What about you?
You're kind of what kind of cookie person?
Crispy cookie person.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's find out what kind of cookie person I am. My little cookie bite. Nom 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 nom. I like it. It's more like a soft cookie. So there's really no nice way to eat this milkshake like it's Instagram worthy, but in reality, this is what happens behind the scenes.
This is the best thing about these milkshakes is they have these edgings and
they just fall all over you. They're delicious.
Delectable and nutritious.
Nutritious?
It's chocolate and powdered Oreo. What's not amazing about that? So we're home. We did terrible, terrible things to this milkshake.
Meaning, we drank it all, and it was so good.
It was.
Except for a little bit of the cookie. Too much sugar.
Yeah, it was a little... I don't like chewy cookies, and it was a very chewy cookie.
It was a big cookie, so it was too much cookie.
But I'm making my own cookies this week, so it'll be okay. But, so we have a story time because,
We're just gonna call this ableism story time sessions.
Yeah, because, like, every time we go and we talk to people for more than 5 minutes, we have an ableism.
So, we go in there, really nice interaction. The guy that's doing crowd control actually lets us, like, cut the line because we had to go through the back entrance.
Okay, well, there was technically, we had to cut the line because, like, the line is outside, it goes upstairs into this really tiny hallway that's, like, skinny even for standing people, and then up to the counter. So, like, he really couldn't send us back past people up until a certain point, so we just ended up being, like, number 3 in line or whatever, which is fine, because we actually had to go around the whole building. So, like, technically, if we'd gone in, like, in the front when we could have gone in, we would have been first in line anyway. But, you know.
So we got some stairs.
Yep. So we got some stairs and some very annoyed looks. And you know, that tends to happen, but, we finally get up, the guy who let us up, though, was very, very kind, and also a super Epcot fan, so, like, we got to, like, chat about that.
He saw Charlotte's,
Pins, my Figment pin.
Because your Figment pin.
I think he only saw one, because there were, like, a bunch of Figment stuff, and I showed him my new foot plate, which is, I'll put a picture of, because it's so cool, I love it. Thank you to Disability Lab and Etsy, it's so neat, you should buy stuff from them. They, like, make cool custom Disney wheelchair stuff. But we get up to the counter, and there's the woman who's checking us out. Is the owner, I think, right?
I think so. Or, like, the place is co-owned by, like, a mom and daughter that are, like, both culinary people. Are you eating more of the milkshake?
I was just eating a little piece of the rim that was still there. And so Jane starts talking to her, and she's talking pretty normally, and then I start talking, because I start ordering for both of us, because, like, we'd already talked about what we wanted in mind, and she does that thing that people do, where, they, like, bend over, and they start talking like they're talking to a little kid, and so, she's kind of, like, acting like she's humoring me by taking the order, and then she realizes that, like, I'm actually giving an order, and so she gets a little confused, and she starts, like, she's like, oh, okay, one sec, let me start putting that in the computer. So she starts putting in the POS system, and, you know, she's like, so, like, what have you guys been doing today? And Jane's like, oh, we went to the post office to get stamps, and I go, yeah, we're like, finishing packaging our save the dates to send out for our wedding. And she's like,
she takes a second.
Wedding? And I'm like, yeah. And then suddenly she, like, stands up and starts talking to me like a normal person.
Like you're an adult. Imagine that.
Yeah. Because that was, up until that point, she just assumed that I was, like, just someone that Jane was taking care of. So that's always a fun encounter to have.
I mean, like, at first I would say, like, you know, if it wasn't for the bending down and, like, treating you like
tone of voice.
Treating you like your child, I would have just assumed, you know, homophobia or whatnot. But instead, we got an ableism story.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, not mad at the place. Like, clearly they keep their back entrance unlocked for people in wheelchairs and, like, have a plan.
Yeah, it's much better than the Grand Rapids experience.
Yeah, they, like, have a plan for, like, people to be able to go up to the counter if they're using a wheelchair and, like, a way to, like, figure everything out. So, like, not mad at them at all. In comparison, I feel like this is a low one on the ableism scale.
Yeah, it's a lot less bad than the people, like, kind of just physically grabbing and being otherwise obnoxious, but it was definitely weird. It was definitely awkward.
But anyway, we got a delicious milkshake.
And we disagreed, so it's delicious milkshake.
So, good night.
Good night. Thank you for getting milkshake with us.